What is going on, guys? I hope you can hear me. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the first linguistics pronunciation live stream. I'm trying to do this a little bit more often. I don't know if I need these. And we're just here. We're talking about pronunciation, trying to build confidence and sound a little bit more natural in conversation. Those of you who are new to this channel, my name is Ruben Addery. I am a pronunciation coach, pronunciation specialist, and I help people sound more natural in a foreign language. We do this in 5 different languages: in Spanish, English, in Portuguese, do Brasil. We do it in Italian and also in Hebrew. And so all those languages coming together. And today I just wanted to share some things with you that are maybe the most important from all the languages, and have a nice conversation, answer your questions. Maybe we'll get into some Q&A at the end, but we'll keep it short and sweet, and we'll do this more often. As you see, I am streaming live from Venice, California. We're in LA, outside, with all the noise. Maybe we should go inside next time, but it's good to see you guys here. And I have some things to share with you that I think will be helpful, but if you have questions too. Henry is in the house from Medellin. What's going on, man? It's good to see you. Good to see you here. And yeah, this is my plan. I've been learning a lot more these last few months, and more about how to understand, how to explain the process of pronunciation, changing the way that you use your voice. And I think this will be helpful. And the two different types of pronunciation, which is the theme of today, we'll talk about, and hopefully you're able to apply this to your accents, to your foreign language learning. And there's 2 big words that will help you kind of split the difference between what you maybe would consider more traditional and what you would consider more colloquial or day-to-day. And those words are prescriptive and descriptive. Prescriptive and descriptive pronunciation. Do you guys know what that is? This is the not so technical term, but it's a kind of a jargon term in linguistics for the difference between, let's say, proper, in quotes, correct, maybe over-pronounced, clear pronunciation versus a little bit more natural, connected, fast, but not necessarily informal. That's descriptive pronunciation. So those differences are key, and they're kind of, I'll give you some examples of these as we talk today. That'll be our main theme. If you have any questions, just write them here. And of course, comment below if you have other things that we can come and discuss in future live streams. So prescriptive pronunciation is just from the word prescribed. Every language has it. Most languages have it. In fact, prescriptive you can also apply to grammar or pronunciation. It doesn't really matter. We can just think about use in general. If it's prescriptive, it means it's what they teach in the classes, in the grammar classes, even for native speakers. For example, a prescriptive rule in English, in many languages actually, is that you're not allowed to end a sentence with a preposition. So you're not supposed to say on or in or by, for, from, to, at the end of a sentence. But in most languages, Latin languages, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, they observe this rule. But in English, we don't tend to do that when we speak on a daily basis. So in other words, the prescriptive rule is that you can't end with a preposition, but descriptively we do. And it's all good. Everyone's cool with that. So that's the main takeaway here. We're going to talk about a couple other examples in English. Maybe I'll give you some examples from Spanish and Portuguese and Hebrew, whatever you're interested in. Just want to get a couple of facts out there for you, and whether this is something groundbreaking for you or just a reminder of something that you can practice all the time, it's important to consider in most ways when in most of the cases when you're trying to sound more natural in a foreign language. So if you guys let me know what language you're studying too, if you're coming from a foreign language background, if you're trying to imitate an accent, let me know which accent that is. I'm curious to know what you're working on these days, and we can maybe modify the examples to fit what you're practicing. So since we seem to have more Spanish and English speakers or Spanish and English learners here at the moment, we can use maybe an example from English. And the word that I think exemplifies or that shows this prescriptive and descriptive change is this word I'll, I apostrophe LL. I have a couple others learning Spanish. We'll do a couple examples from both. I apostrophe LL can be pronounced in a couple different ways. In some cases, people will pronounce it like aisle, like an aisle in the movie theater or in the airplane. Both things are quite foreign concepts at the moment, but an aisle, AISLE, or an aisle like an island aisle. So that's like the pronunciation that you would probably hear from people if they were just seeing the word by itself. Aisle. But if you put it in a sentence, that prescriptive pronunciation of aisle, prescriptive, changes. It changes to something more like I'll be right back. I'll tell you later. So it seems to be more kind of like an al type of a thing. The vowel reduces, the vowel shortens, and you tend to get a changed pronunciation. This is because this is logical because it is a function word. We use lots of terminology in the videos, in our courses. You'll learn this stuff very quickly. Because the word is not very important, we change the pronunciation. And so that's another lesson too, is we change pronunciation and descriptive pronunciation will come up more when you're not focused or not stressing a syllable. Be extra careful on how you pronounce unstressed syllables because those are the ones that usually give away the accent. So if you're pronouncing all the nouns and all the stressed syllables perfectly well, but then you're mispronouncing the little words, the prepositions, the pronouns, typically it comes off foreign and it's really hard to tell why. Because you're just like, I'm saying the right words. But in the background, they're hearing foreign sounds and different systems coming in where it's not necessarily what they expect. So I'll becomes I'll descriptively, right? To, even just the word to, T-O, tends to change to this kind of like t sound, which is a descriptive change. The word is still pronounced to, you can't deny that, but descriptively, that's the word you should be using, right? Descriptively or colloquially or in the rhythm of the sentence, that to becomes t because the next word or the next syllable typically is a bit more important. To go, to sleep, to try, to take. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that affects your language, but try saying that. To go to sleep. Actually, to go to, I would actually change that T, that second T to a kind of a flap. To go to sleep. That's another example, probably of another descriptive change. The T between vowel sounds in go to sleep changes to a flap, what we call a flap or a tap. In linguistics, sounds like a Spanish or a Portuguese or Italian R, or an Arabic or Russian or all those languages. So go to sleep. Go to is what you'll hear from North American English speakers. Go to sleep versus go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep is just a little extra clarity that we didn't need. You know, like why'd you say to when we're used to hearing go to sleep. Go to sleep. So one example of descriptive pronunciation that changes your persona, changes your identity. Because if you say go to sleep, I hear you. I mean, that's where I stop and say, oh, where are you from? Where's that accent from? But if you say go to sleep, go to sleep, it's almost like go to sleep, go to sleep, then it sounds a little bit more colloquial, more descriptive word of the day. And then I start to say, oh, you must have spent time here. You must live here, or I don't know why that seems to be the perception. So this happens in countless other places in English. We can talk about all the unstressed syllables that change their pronunciation. But let's think about Spanish for a second. And the thing about Spanish is that with regard to prescriptive and descriptive pronunciation, you don't see the same amount of vowel reduction and like English does when it's not stressed. But maybe what's important is if you're coming from an English background and you're learning Spanish, what you should know is this exact opposite. Where we're talking about how English does this reduction and to go to sleep. Make sure that when you're speaking a language like Spanish or Italian, that you don't do that you maintain the a, e, I, o, u in those unstressed syllables. So what's descriptive in English will come into your Spanish or Italian naturally, because it's just how our system works with unstressed syllables. We shorten them, we say them kind of quickly. Absolutely. And so, yeah, we'll give some more examples. I suppose you can think of Spanish descriptive pronunciation as less of something, but maybe something subtle that might be something like an E sound, C, changing in shape, or saying something more like si, 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 si. The more you move your lips, the more variation you might see from just a flat E sound. Si, señor. Si, no, si, señor. Señor, si, si. Keeping lips in a different position. This might be just a small change from your native language. Grammar and vocabulary are also descriptive. I think this is probably more helpful for a language like Spanish. So considering how words are phrased, and although you might classify this as formal and informal, we're really talking about what's proper and what's kind of, the way that people say it. So you might learn, how about this for an example of descriptive use of Spanish? Some people will say this whole, if I had known, then I would have done something different. This expression in English. Si hubiera is the expression. Si hubiera sido, si hubiera hecho algo diferente, entonces, bueno, habría sido diferente. Si hubiera, habría. That's the prescriptive rule. And many people in native Spanish-speaking country, native Spanish speakers will still say, si hubiera, hubiera. They'll use the hubiera twice. Or, even in English we do that too. Some people will say, if I would have known, instead of if I had known. That's one thing that comes to mind. Hubiera, hubiera, instead of hubiera, habría. In Portuguese do Brasil, muito comum mudar, to change the endings of the words in Portuguese is where it happens. Letters O, A, and E in word final position, in the end of a word, if they're not stressed, which in most cases are not, will change. O's change to U, like eu falo português, eu falo. And if you read it, it's F-A-L-O, and that pronunciation is, the pronunciation is actually not falo, like you might say in Spanish, or Italian, or English, falo. But I falo, falo, eu falo. You might even stress that vowel. Falo português. Falo. O livro, this even happens with articles. The article o will become u in descriptive pronunciation. O livro, falo, livro, those words are going to be obvious to most Brazilians. Anyone familiar with Brazilian Portuguese, the A's become more of like an So if eu falo, e você fala, l. And that l sound kind of resembles a schwa from English. L, fala, short, neutral, and descriptive. You say fala portugués. You know, it's like portuñol, como dicen en Argentina, portuñol, bueno, all across the world. And of course, it's not really the right pronunciation. Falo becomes eu falo. And that small pronunciation change is like, oh, damn, right, you speak, you can hear that nuance. Falo, lo, lo, lo. So it's a short vowel, it's quick, this is all very descriptive usage. It's paying attention to small details. And of course, that's not always the focus for most students because, there's other things to focus on. Hebrew examples, anyone into Hebrew? Just curious, if not, we can skip those. Yeah, it seems to be a couple Hebrew speakers here. Hebrew, there's a ton of descriptive and prescriptive changes. I'll give one here. Sorry for those of you who are not in the Hebrew scope, but here's an example. The word for solution in Hebrew is pronounced pitaron, but it's really not supposed to be pitaron. Pitaron is how we all say it, solution, need a solution, pitaron. But it's, according to the Nikud, should be pitron, like pitronot, pitron, which is this T and Taf cluster. Pitron. There's a shva underneath the taf. But pitaron is how it comes out. We don't really ask questions. One example. Pitaron, pitron. You might even see people overpronouncing the words with yud. Words like, like ben, the ben, between in Hebrew, and the word for son, ben. In descriptive pronunciation, you'll hear these pronounced exactly the same. Some people will overdo the yud pronunciation and say, or yod, should be clear pronunciation, and say bain, which you sometimes hear in certain words, beinenu, bain. But it's just in general, if you see the bena delet la shulchan, ben kind of sounds exactly the same. It sounds like the same in Spanish, like Ruben, ben. It's pretty much the same too. So if you learn Hebrew or Spanish or Portuguese, all these languages work together, huh? Ben, the bain, yeah. So up to you, I suppose. Some people like the prescriptive pronunciation because they're like, oh, I really think this is the proper way. I learned it this way, and it helps me to, feel connected. But sadly, my big thesis for today, the lesson is the descriptive pronunciation actually makes you sound more native. If that's your goal, then focusing on what sounds descriptive versus prescriptive could be the solution, could be the pitaron. And when you actually think about it, you might consider doing more descriptive, making more descriptive choices, but still keeping some prescriptive things, especially grammar rules and fixed forms. But that's the fun part. There's no one way to do it. It's great, but if you are aware of both sides, that makes you more confident. It tends to make you a little bit more calm in conversation because you don't really have to stress as much over these choices. Although there's still a lot of choices to be made, you can consider this. Oh, you know what? That's just a descriptive change. I don't need to change that. It's just kind of fun to see how that happens and how that affects our learning. Because it could be stressful for your whole life. We don't want it to be. We're trying to make it a little bit more fun and exciting and more of a connected experience. This is kind of why I'm here also, to connect with you guys, those of you who are here right now. I appreciate you. And if you have specific questions about descriptive and prescriptive pronunciation or use in general, or I'm curious if you guys use this. Some people here are teachers themselves, many I know, and it's one of those things that maybe isn't part of the curriculum always or isn't the main focus, but it is one of those terms that prescriptive and descriptive, that seems to be really helpful when breaking something down, because the alternative in many cases is it formal versus informal? Is it I think we do that in many languages, formal versus informal, which seem to be kind of like stigmatized words. Oh, no, 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 don't use that. It's formal. Oh, don't use that. It's informal, meaning, the informal means it's slang and it's rude and it's like, just the kind of thing that you wouldn't actually use day to day. Where's the line? There's not really a clear break, 50-50. So now we can recategorize this. I even like using the words professional versus friendly. I think this does a lot more for the usage. Don't think of it as formal, because even nowadays, businesses and just correspondence among professional colleagues is still pretty friendly. And so you might have a distance between yourself and your superior, or your a CEO or someone that's that you really respect. But in general, we just don't have this in English, at least, and it's starting to seem that way in many languages. We don't have that formality, and that word stands out to some when they're learning. Sorry for the plane noise here. Appreciate you letting me be outside in the element. But if you're professional, then that doesn't mean that you're over formal. It just means that it's appropriate in a professional setting. And informal replaced by friendly, again, doesn't mean that it's rude, but it just means that you can use it a little bit more commonly among friends. And so I like that recategorization. You can also have this second axis of not just is it professional or is it friendly, but is it now polite or is it rude? Because of course there are professional conversations that are kind of rude, and there are friendly conversations that are over polite, which can be friendly and polite. Those all kind of work together. So the descriptive and prescriptive is another one of those dials to move back and forth. All right, well, we'll wrap it up in just a couple minutes here. I want to just tell you a couple things about what I do and how we'll continue. I hope to do these every week. Just come here and chat about pronunciation. We'll take one specific topic, one question that we might have from the week, and just build a community of language learners and accent enthusiasts who are just trying to learn either about a foreign language like the ones we're talking about today, either just a bit more about an introduction to linguistics. I'll be happy to go deep into any topic here. And when I'm not doing this, I'm working with people either privately or in group settings, or creating more content around the topic. It's kind of crazy how much time I spent with pronunciation, but it's awesome at the same time. So no complaints over here. We'll be back next Sunday for a little bit more conversation. Let us know if you have any questions or specific topics of interest that you want to hear about. And I'll hope to see you guys soon. You guys know all the information about reaching me. I'll be here now more often. So we'll maybe do it with less planes next time. But thanks so much. Fewer planes. Grammar. Prescriptive and descriptive there too. And with a small change. So have a wonderful day. Happy Mother's Day to those mommies out there. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.